Hey, Browns fans, Spencer German here out in Berea with your latest Browns practice report. And yep, already got the puffy coats out. Cold weather's in the air. There was snow on the ground, and that meant that the team was inside for practice today. But we got a whole bunch of stuff to kind of get to here as the Deshaun Watson shoulder saga continues for yet another week. We've been talking about it for 5 weeks now, and it rolls on into this matchup with the Arizona Cardinals, where Kevin Stefanski today remained as he has throughout this process, pretty much mum on the subject of who's going to be the starting quarterback this week. Granted, he did reveal, and as we saw at practice today, Deshaun Watson practicing in a limited capacity. We'll get to what we saw there, but I also want to clarify a couple other things with Kevin Stefanski's press conference today because on Monday he made some, I guess, he created some headlines in that he didn't name PJ Walker the immediate backup to Deshaun Watson. And I think that was kind of interesting. He was kind of non-committal on the subject when asked specifically about Dorian Thompson Robinson maybe getting a second look. And he said today PJ Walker will be the immediate backup to Deshaun Watson if he can't go. But the main topic there, of course, Deshaun Watson limited to practice today. It's a step in the right direction, maybe a positive sign. But I'll remind you, we've also been here before with Deshaun Watson. He practiced limited and then fully leading up to the Colts game, and we saw how that went in that game a couple weeks ago against Indy. So we can't put the cart before the horse here. We don't know if he's going to play, and the team continues to say rather, that it's a day-to-day process with Deshaun and with their quarterback situation because Kevin Stefanski wouldn't name a starter today, unlike he did last week, where he pretty promptly ruled out Deshaun and named PJ Walker the starter. Now, in terms of Deshaun at practice today, I think the biggest thing I noticed was that he didn't have any of that tape on his shoulder. He had been wearing that leading up to the Indy game, and it was, sort of restricting him and trying to help him heal up a little bit. But I didn't see any on him today. And I did think in some capacity he had a little bit more zip to his football or his throws rather than he did a couple weeks ago. So that's an encouraging sign. I will say though too, and add the context that every now and then he'd make a couple throws and you would just kind of see him shaking that shoulder a little bit, trying to kind of get some things out. So I don't know what that means. I don't want to speculate, but certainly seems like he might still be kind of dealing with something there. And that's probably why he was only limited today and why his status remains sort of up in the air in terms of what the Browns can or are at least willing to say about whether or not he'll play. But it is a concern because, yeah, this Cardinals game seems like it's a perfect opportunity for him to play if he can and sort of shake off some of that rust because I do think on some level, we talked about Russ when he came back from the suspension. He had the 6 games last year. We talked about Russ at the beginning of this year, and I think there was some of that with the 2 games that he sort of struggled leading into that Titans game, which to this point in his career, or his Browns career rather, is the best game he's put together. I'm worried now at this point for him that once he gets back on the field, it's going to take sort of a reacclimation, another reacclimation process to kind of make things happen. So we'll see if that's true. This will be a nice kind of warm up to a big game against Baltimore next week. But at the very least, we know there's a chance he could play, and we got to kind of wait and see what the rest of the week brings. But if not, the word out there, of course, is that the Baltimore game is maybe the one he's eyeing for a return. But everything's up in the air with this guy, with Deshaun, with this team right now. And I think that's kind of what's been this sort of darker cloud that hangs over the season because until Deshaun Watson's back out there, it's hard to really know what the final stretch of the season, getting into November now, going into December, is going to look like for this team and the prospect of them making the playoffs. The other big thing from today, obviously, the Browns making a trade yesterday, trading Donovan Peoples-Jones to the Detroit Lions, and Kevin Stefanski, reflected on DPJ's time here. He was very, very kind in the way that he talked about him, saying they were happy to see him grow up here in Cleveland and start his career here, but that they, are looking ahead to this new opportunity. And I think the big thing people would wonder out with this move being made, of course, is who takes those snaps, who gets that role, and it sounds like the team is going to roll with third-round pick Cedric Tillman, which I think is pretty interesting. There were some rumors that the Browns could be looking to add a wide receiver. They obviously didn't do that. They did trade one, and so now it's about who's the next man up. It seems like in their eyes it's Cedric Tillman, and that you'll be seeing a lot more of him both out here at practice, but also on game days, maybe starting with this Cardinals game coming up on Sunday. So I think that's another interesting nugget that we got from today. We'll see what tomorrow brings in terms of the status of Deshaun Watson. We'll also see what it brings in terms of the status of Dwan Jones, Greg Newsome, who did not practice today. Zadarius Smith was seen inside getting some work done, but dealing with a neck injury. But he also was held out of practice today as well. So all those guys, we'll get updates on them on top of Deshaun Watson, among others. We appreciate you guys following along as always. You can continue to follow along with the latest news over at BrownsDigest.com. And obviously, throughout here on the YouTube channel and wherever else as we keep you in the loop all week long on all things Cleveland Browns, getting you ready for Week 9 against the Cardinals. I'm Spencer German. Until next time, take care and go Browns.